Welcome to the Ride with the Knights Sprint Enduro instructional video. This one is for the adult event. We're going to be primarily focusing on the information that will help you out and understand the race format for the adult event. I'll do a separate shorter video for the youth classes, which are more standard format, standard desert racing. So not very much different there, but I will answer some questions there. So first off, let's talk a little bit about what is really unique about the Ride with the Knights Sprint Enduro format and what you need to know as a participant. Well, let me start off a little bit with how this event came to be. I grew up racing a lot of enduros. I love enduros, and there's a couple features of the enduro format that I just love and I wanted to share with the Utah racing community. There's a lot of other enduros, but we don't have very many enduros here in Utah. So one of the primary components of an enduro that is really fun is what is often referred to as a special test. So it's a shorter test section. It's a shorter section of trail, typically 5 to 10 minutes, and you race against the clock to set the fastest time. That's what I wanted to bring to some of the racers here in Utah. So we started doing, this is our 5th year doing the Sprint Enduro, and we've learned a ton and we've greatly appreciated all of the support from the riding community. So what do you need to know as a racer? How is this race really different? Well, many races are scored by whoever crosses the finish line first, and whatever position you finish in, that's your finishing position. What's unique about the Sprint Enduro format is it doesn't necessarily matter which order you finish the event in. That's not how you're scored. Your score is composed of your cumulative time that you set in all of these different test sections. So if you take a look at this graphic here, this is a map, a rough idea of what we're going to do for this year's Sprint Enduro course. This is the 2026 course map. And as you can see here, I've highlighted what we refer to as transfer sections in blue and test sections in red. So transfer sections are ridden just at trail pace. You're not scored. When you arrive to a special test, you will typically find a scoring personnel, maybe a small easy up there, and they will be scoring the start of the special test. You'll wait your turn and you'll be admitted into the special test one by one. The course officiator will give you a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and go. As soon as they say go, they tap go on our scoring system and your time begins. You now race through the special test section as fast as you can in an effort to set the fastest time possible. When you arrive at the finish of the special test area, your transponder will be scanned and a timestamp will be recorded when you cross the finish line. You have now set your time for that special test. You'll continue riding and following the course on transfer section until you arrive at the next special test and repeat the same process over. So essentially, the format is composed of 3 unique test sections. We typically refer to them as special tests. And all of our Pro, A, and B riders will complete 3 entire loops on this route, this course route, which means they'll do 3 special tests per lap. Once they've done 3 laps, they'll have a total of 9 special test scores completed. Our C riders will be required to complete at least 2 laps. Our C class will do 2 laps. So you'll have at least 6 scores by the end of the day. Another really unique aspect of the Sprint Enduro format is how we start the event. Because you're not racing for position, we phase riders onto the course. We assign you a row and we'll admit 4 riders out onto the course every minute. We typically start with our Pro riders, then our A riders, our B riders, and our C riders. We organize your row assignments in chronological order based on the sequence that you sign up. So if you register for the event earlier, you will receive an earlier starting position. We assign 4 riders per row. So what we typically do is we will have a number, such as, for example, 44, and we will assign the 4 riders on row 44 the following numbers: 44A, 44B, 44C, and 44D. Those are the 4 riders that will start on row 44, and so on throughout all of the rows. We actually begin with row number 1. The event will start at 11:01, with row number 1 being admitted onto the course at 11:01. At 11:02, we admit row 2 onto the course, and so on until we admit all of the rows out onto the course and we have all riders circulating the off-road course at the same time. If you're assigned row 44, you will start the event at 11:44. A helpful tip is don't arrive to the starting area too early. I typically recommend that you arrive to the starting area about 15 minutes before your start time. If you're starting on row 44, that means that you will start at 11:44. If you're assigned row 72, that means that you will start 72 minutes after 11 o'clock, which would be 12:12, if my math is correct. You will start 72 minutes after 11 o'clock, so you will be the 72nd row. Some of my favorite features of the Sprint Enduro format are the fact that you get multiple chances to race. The race is composed of multiple mini races throughout the day. So sometimes your test might not go the way you expected. You might have had a tip over or not felt as good as you would have liked to, but what's fun about the Sprint Enduro format is you always have another chance to reset and start over again. So take advantage of that unique format. Another question we get pretty frequently is, can I ride together with a family member or a friend? If you guys are in the same division, for example, if you're both B riders, then you can submit a special request and we will do our best to assign you on the same row or close. If you're in different divisions, then typically we don't accommodate those special requests. However, what you can do is the earlier rider can start and then wait until the second rider begins, and then from that point on, you can ride together throughout the race. So what's really fun about the Sprint Enduro format is because you don't have to focus on position, you can actually ride the transfer sections together, race the special test, and when you get finished at the special test, you can wait for your friend or family member and then continue riding. It's a really fun way to experience the race together with family and friends and bench race throughout the day. However, we do ask that if you finish a special test, please, if you are waiting for somebody or taking a rest or getting a drink, please move yourself a little bit away from the scoring area. The reason this is important is our scoring equipment scans the transponders on your helmet. And to mitigate any confusion or double scans, we want to make sure that once you pass the scoring finish of the special test, move a couple 100 yards away before you stop to take a break. That way you won't interfere with any of the scoring for other riders finishing the test. A couple other things that have occurred in the past is because we're feeding 4 riders onto the course every minute, that means we are striving at the special tests to send at least 1 rider every 15 seconds into the special test. Sometimes, depending on the flow of traffic, you may arrive to a special test and there might be a line. You may have a line of 5, 10, or even 15 riders waiting their turn to start the special test. Don't worry. Simply take your place in line and wait your turn. It'll only be a few minutes until you start the test. You're not allowed to cut the line to make up any time. Every rider, no matter their division, is required to wait in line to start the special tests. All special tests are started individually. You'll start every special test one at a time. Let's talk a little bit about the course markings. The majority of our off-road loop will be composed of traditional off-road markings. We'll have pink ribbon marking the route to ride. We'll have arrows and dangers and W's at junctions. We also utilize the Kurt Caselli marking system, so it's congruent with all of our other events inside Umora. And we also, at times, will utilize what we refer to as the 3-2-1 countdown system, which typically applies for dangers or very prominent turns. For example, if you have a very prominent danger, a very significant ditch, what we will do is we will mark a 3-2-1 danger, meaning that a triple danger will be placed 100 feet in front of the obstacle, a double danger 50 feet in front, and then a single danger at the obstacle. If you're ever navigating the course and you see a triple danger, you can expect to see a pretty significant obstacle within the next 100 feet. We also do this with turns. If we have a very prominent turn, we will do a 3-2-1 countdown system. The same exact steps apply there. A triple arrow 100 feet in front of the turn, a double arrow 50 feet, and then a singular arrow at the actual turn. The only exception to these course markings will exist in the cross test. The cross test is the only test in the entire off-road loop that will be composed of complete flagging tape on both perimeters. The cross test is made by staking wooden stakes all the way along the perimeter and then tying 3-inch flagging tape to each stake, creating a defined perimeter and boundary on 100% of the race course. Essentially, imagine it being a motocross track that is created in the off-road terrain. What's really cool about the cross test is because we define the boundaries, everywhere within the boundaries is open for use, meaning you can take any line possible and can get very creative with how you enter turns or navigate particular obstacles as long as you stay within the boundaries of the tape. What we will be doing this year is we have 2 colors. We have a red color tape and a white color tape. The red color tape will be found on the left-hand side of the cross test, and the white tape will be found on the right side of the cross test. This will help keep traffic going the same direction, and if you ever find yourself questioning which direction, remember red is on the left and the white is on the right. That's the only exception to our course markings on the entire course. The transfer sections will be marked a little bit lighter. We don't necessarily mark them quite as heavy because they're simply transferring you from one special test to the next. I encourage riders to ride what they refer to as their trail pace when you're transferring to the next special test. This section of the course is not scored. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow you ride in this section. It won't matter to your score at the end of the day. The only thing that does matter is how fast you complete the special tests. So save all your energy and all your throttle power for the special test sections. Another important thing to discuss is once you complete your first lap around the off-road loop, you'll be on transfer section and you'll return to the staging area. You'll be fed into a chute right where you started, and we will have a designated corridor in which you can enter the pit area and then return to the course. We ask all riders to please navigate this area with a lot of caution and very slowly. There is no scoring that occurs here, and there will be two-way traffic. You will navigate into the staging area, and in that corridor that will allow you to exit the course, return to your truck or trailer for fuel and food, and then return back to the course is two-way traffic. So we ask that as you are returning to your staging area and getting back on the course for your next lap, that you do so with caution. Don't speed through the pit area. You're not scored. Please be safe, as there are a lot of riders that are navigating to different areas of the staging area to access their pit crews. What's really unique about the Sprint Enduro format is you can rest for a period of time before you begin your next lap. We will have a time cutoff, typically about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, which gives all riders plenty of time before they have to begin their last lap. We will close the course at that point for their last lap. So all you need to do is make sure that you head out on your last lap before that time cutoff. But this usually gives riders plenty of time to rest, recover, refuel their bodies, bench race a little bit with their buddies before they head out on the next lap. When you begin your second or third lap, you will not be restacked or reassigned to any row. You are open to return to the course free. You don't have to wait for any row assignments. The only time you are racked onto a specific row and admitted onto the course in an organized fashion will be at the start of the event, the start of your very first lap. Every lap after that is open. The only exception to this is the pro riders typically complete their first loop before we have admitted all of the riders onto the course. So we kindly ask that if you're in the pro class, that you patiently wait until we have admitted all riders onto the course before you begin your second lap. Once all riders are admitted onto the course, you are free to go out and complete all of your additional laps. Another component that will be really unique this year is that we have the cross test right out of the gate, meaning that you will start the event on transfer section and transfer only a few hundred yards until you will line up to begin the cross test. Remember that even though we're admitting you onto the course, you are not scored until they say go at the start of the cross test. The cross test start is distinct from the start of the actual race loop. Something else that you may find interesting about our event is we typically lay out the course in a pretty unique way. We like to make riders funnel into tight washes. We like to include really unique obstacles in our course, and we do so deliberately, which often will require very unique marking. Sometimes we will create gates that funnel riders down a particular wash or drainage. Sometimes we will double back on ourselves and create very tight turns. Sometimes you will find obstacles or routes in our off-road loop that may appear a little bit unique or a little bit tighter or more technical than you would find in other off-road events in Utah. We do this deliberately and we make it very, very intentional and obvious. If we have created a gate and funneled you into a wash, we intend for you to ride that wash. We don't do this for any other reason than pure fun. We ask that all riders do their best and use their rider discretion to follow the course that we have intended for you. We spend a lot of time marking and remarking and riding over and over all of these sections to make sure that they're very clear, that they flow in a certain way, that they're intuitive to follow, and we do our best to mark this course in a way to accommodate all riders of all skill levels. So please, we ask you as you participate in this event to follow the intended route and maximize the fun during the Sprint Enduro. That's most of the information that you will find unique for the Ride with the Knights Sprint Enduro. We really appreciate your support for coming out and participating in this event, whether you are a racer or a supporter or volunteer. We love to have everybody out there. So huge thank you to you guys. Thank you to all our sponsors who helped make this happen. Thank you to Umora, the series that allows us to do this awesome event. We're super grateful for all the fun times we've had out there. Can't believe it's already been 5 years. We're really excited for this. If you have any questions, you can always email us at raceumora@gmail.com. You can reach me personally at josh@ridewiththeknights.com for my email. Please reach out. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to help, and we will see you guys out at the Ride with the Knights Sprint Enduro.